Hello and welcome back to Final Fantasy -1. When we last got together, we were just clearing out things with the ship and the pirate cave. Now we are on to going to Elfland and getting that TNT into the hands of our friend Narek the Dwarf. So you can see we've picked up a few things looking at our characters. I do have a level 4 spell charge that I need to pick up with my Black Mage. So that's going to be our first order of business, is to expand his spell list so that we can take on ASTOS here in just a little bit. Just looking at our items and everything, though. The sequence is a little bit different here because in the vanilla game you have to get the crown from the Marsh Cave, bring that to Astos to get the eye, and then you bring the eye up to Matoya to get the herb to give to the Elf Prince, yada yada yada. This one skips a little bit of that trading sequence, with Matoya being completely absent, at least so far in this game. And the prince is sleeping, but Astos is waiting for us over there. The ship movement is actually really handy, that the ship doesn't need a dock to go anywhere, so it's nice to kind of use the ship to get shortcuts to places, as we'll see here going up to the dwarf cave right here. I can dock the ship very, very near where the dwarf cave is, and we can get right in. So, hi-ho, hi-ho. I do not believe that was in the vanilla version of the game. That is, of course, a real-life cultural reference to the classic Disney movie Snow White. But here is where the Smith usually is, but Smith is not around right now. We're just going to talk to some of the other dwarves. The earth is slowly rotting from the west. That is a hint that is given to us in the vanilla version. So is the sound of Narek digging the canal. Nothing in here. Normally there is just 2 chests with gold. Dwarves can see in the dark. That is a vanilla reference. This guy is looking for the floater. And he says, I bet with the floater I could float anything. Here is a little game tip. Accessories protect you from certain kinds of magic. Amulets stop Dark Holy Earth. Mantle stop Air Bolt and Time. So we're going to be getting some elemental protections here that we don't normally get in the vanilla version of the game. So I think my equipment mixing and matching will be more interesting. I'm still on the lookout for, there is Narek, the TNT. I'm still on the lookout for a comprehensive items list. This door is locked with the Mystic Key, which we will be picking up very shortly. Still looking for a comprehensive list of all the weapons and armor and their attributes. As I'm playing this game, I'm discovering things kind of organically, which is probably how it's designed to be, of course, but it would be nice to be able to look at a table and say, oh, this weapon has what type, because the weapon types and elemental types have been fixed in this game, so that if I do find a weapon that is effective against a certain kind of enemy, it will actually work, and instead of being a surprise, I can have it used to my advantage. So this is a look at the map, and the map is adjusted to what the new map is right now. So you can see there are a couple of changes. You notice Matoya's Cave is absent. The Pirate Cave has been added. Maybe that's the same tiles as Matoya's Cave. I'm not sure. And the Northwest Castle and the Marsh Cave in its new place. So this map is correct to what we've seen so far. That's always a question I had about these hacks, is if the when you adjust the map tiles on the world map screen, does the pull-up map also get adjusted? And it looks like it does. Or maybe it's adjusted manually to match. That would be a question for a hacker like Pink Puff, the author of this patch. By the way, if you're looking for this patch, there is a link to the description to the patch in the description of this video below. So you can find that patch, and you can find the spell list, which has been handy to use, but still looking for that equipment list. So we're going to head over to Melmond's new location. And here is Melmond, of course, the destroyed town. This is just a tomb. Sorry. Ransacked by the Earth Fiend. So no reference to the vampire yet. There's no reference to the vampire. In the vanilla version of the game, this town was attacked by a vampire that lives halfway through the Earth Cave, and that's where you need to, you beat the vampire to bring the ruby to go back out, so you kind of have to do the Earth Cave in 2 parts in the vanilla version of the game. I'm not sure what to do with that. So here is level 4 Black Magic, and only my Black Mage has access to this now. Ice 2 is the same, or similar as it is in the vanilla version. The Bio spell is another all-targeting spell that is a dark elemental. So it's a higher damage spell, but it's dark element instead of ice element. And I'm just looking at the white magic because my ninja and my paladin will both be able to learn up to level 4 white magic. The paladin doesn't have any charges for level 4. Actually, it doesn't even have charges for level 3 yet. So here are some weapons here at Melmond. I'm not going to buy any of these because with the Mystic Key coming up so quickly, I don't want to buy any more equipment, knowing that I'll likely be getting some step-up equipment from the Mystic Key chests. Ogres, even though the gold has been turned down a little bit in this version, it's still a lucrative fight, so I will always take on ogres when I see them. Even until the very late parts of the game, I usually will fight ogres in the vanilla version of this game so that I can get a little bit more money. The gold curve of this game has been balanced a little bit because the prices of things have been adjusted. You'll notice that the spell prices have been lowered greatly, and the equipment has been kind of balanced a little bit better so that you're not having to grind for tons and tons of money. So I picked up the level 4 spell charges because ASTOS is in here, and classically, ASTOS is very difficult to beat with physical weapons, but susceptible to magic. So I needed the damage is mostly going to be coming from my Black Mage on ASTOS here in the fight. That is if ASTOS behaves anything like he does in the vanilla version of the game. Bulls are an interesting find here. I'm not going to fight them at this point, but I don't know if they are as strong as they are in the vanilla version, but in the vanilla version of the game, you don't see bulls until you go to the northern continent, which is usually not for a while past this Northwest Castle part, because the TNT is part of the trading sequence that happens in the inner sea, the Aldi Sea of this world. So you wouldn't have seen bulls normally at this part of the game. So be interesting to see what they look like when we fight them. So back attack from Dark Imps. Dark Imps apply the darkness status. Darkness status, by my guess, has been fixed in this one. Seems like a pretty easy and pretty standard fix in hacks of this game. Werewolves have the poison attribute, so when they attack, they can apply poison, and indeed they do to my Viking up there. 1 damage and status attack poison. Now, my ninja has learned the pure spell. Now, we'll talk about the pure spell. In the vanilla version of the game, the pure spell is a complete waste of money. And a spell slot, because it is a level 4 spell. I believe it's level 4, and it takes up a level 4 spell slot for your white mage, and it costs 4,000 gold to learn. In this version of the game, the pure is a lower level spell, and it only costs, I think, 200 to learn the pure spell. So 200 gold is the cost of 2 pure potions, and with the ninja not having access to all of the magic, it's not quite as valuable a spell slot. So the pure spell is actually worth picking up for the ninja in this case, in my opinion. So here comes ASTOS, the secret bad guy here, the secret king. There he is. So my physical attacks are not going to do much except for critical hits. Critical hits can get through. We're going to put up a few buffs here. So the ninja's going to put up Protect, and the Black Mage is going to go right to work with the spells. Bio is the dark element spell, but you can see it looks like ASTOS must resist it, because that's a pretty low roll for what its effectivity is supposed to be. So here comes Protect coming up. I will pull up what its effectivity is supposed to be for Bio. Bio is 50 to 200 dark damage, so its effectivity is 50. So ASTOS definitely resisted it. To do less than 50, you have to resist it. So sadly, I kind of attacked into a resistance for ASTOS instead of a weakness. So we're going to try Fire 2, and we're going to keep going to work. So we got 2 hits for 58 with our hammer. That was really nice to get. The ninja's going to keep the buffs going. Early, you saw Cal, the paladin, cast Will. The Will spell is a resistance spell similar to like A Fire, A Ice, but it resists Dark, Holy, Time, and Earth. So will resist a few things. I'm curious to see if that will help me, like later on, that could help me against even Chaos's Crack ability, if I can resist Earth with that and I can't get resistance from accessories and items. So again, I'm getting myself protected against physical attacks because ASTOS seems to use more physical attacks in this one than the vanilla. Of course, he didn't open up with the Rub spell, which is a thing that ASTOS famously does, is he opens up with an instant kill spell. He didn't do that here. He does have the Stop spell to inflict stun, but that's not bothering us too much, and then he's buffing himself there with Invis, so it's going to be harder to even land attacks on him. The ninja lands three hits for 3 damage and a critical, so one of those hits went critical and still just did 1. So the Black Mage is still working down through his spell list. Here's the Arrow spell. That is a single targeting spell that's 25 to 100. So 25 effectivity, so it's 25 to 50, and then that can be doubled. Anyway, we got it to land on Astos. There's the herb, and we are going to be on our way back to Elfland. Luckily, there is a kind of a shortcut to get out of this castle in that area over there, and here's an ogre, so we are going to fight the ogre. And if we had a single bull right here, I probably would take on a single bull just to see what a battle with a single bull could look like. But anyway, we're on our way back to Elfland, so we're skipping the crown, and we're skipping the eye here in the trading sequence. But we will be directly back to the Northwest Castle and ready to open up the Mystic Key doors. So Mystic Key places that we're looking ahead to. We've got the Northwest Castle right there. We've got the Dwarf Cave with a Mystic Key door. We've got the Castle Corneria with a Mystic Key door. And we have the Temple of Fiends with the Mystic Key door. I don't believe I explore the Elf Castle for a Mystic Key door. As I'm remembering this playthrough, maybe I'll have to go back and check and see if there is a Mystic Key door in the Elf Castle. That's coming to me just as I'm recording this post-commentary. Anyway, here's the Mystic Key. And we're on our way back to the Northwest Castle. So the rest of this video is going to be simply unlocking and finding the treasures from the Mystic Key doors. We will not be going to the Marsh Cave in this video. That will be in the next video. So if you're looking to see progressing in the game or in the story, go on to the next video for the Marsh Cave, or look forward to that. This rest of this video for the next, the second half of this one really, is going to be just traveling around and picking some things up. I will already tell you there are no more key items in the Mystic Key doors. They are just simply battle items and useful things for us. There are a few trapped squares guarding some of those items, but we will explore them all the way through. So the Northwest Castle in the vanilla version kind of famously has trapped squares in front of the chests that you need to pick up with the Mystic Key, and those are really good places to grind for experience and money because they're larger groups of undead, and big groups of undead are nice because they'll fall easily to Fire 2 and the Harm spell, and I have access to both of those. So this is a place that off recording or off stream, we would say, I can pick up some more golden experience just by fighting big groups of undead and hoping we don't get back attacks and get stunned too badly with big groups of undead. We will see both of them, though, in this one, but it's kind of a good spot to go, and the author of this patch has left that in there. As far as I've seen, there is not anything akin to the Peninsula of Power in this hack. I did look northeast of Provoca, and I did not find anything. If you know of one, do let me know if you know of something secret that I've not been able to see. But the famous finger that points up towards that upper continent is not there. So here is the trapped square with the groups of undead, and the experience and gold you pick up from these is pretty variable depending on which level of monsters you get, because you will get a certain number of a certain category of monsters and a certain number of another category and a certain number of another category. So more Geists would give me more experience than having more ghouls instead of Geists. So if this battle was like, 3 Geists, 1 ghoul, and 2 of the images, then that would be a little more experience right there. But you can see the Geists are pretty sturdy, taking a Fire 2 to the face and surviving. Something you're also may have noticed, may not have noticed, is that my ninja with the bladed weapons has a really hard time doing damage to undead. So that is something that was, I think, supposed to be part of the original game in the weapon types. But maybe that's gone a little bit too far for me. But you can see the ninja right there, just getting 1 damage on the knife type weapon. They're just not very effective against the undead, but the hammer type weapons definitely are against undead. So I don't know if that's been built in specially for this one. Here I can get 2 chests. There's the Mithril Hammer for my Viking. I'm just going to equip that on him and check his stats. Right now he's got 40 and 33. 40 damage, 33 hit percent, and now he's got 49, 36. The big thing there is I want to make sure he didn't go down below 32 on the hit percent, because then he would lose a hit. So sometimes it's better to have a weapon that has less attack value and more accuracy, because it'll put you over the threshold into another hit, and it's always better to have another hit than have more damage per hit, because each hit gives you the chance for critical, of course. So I would rather take a small penalty to the damage of each hit if I get another hit in. So this Fire 2 doing much better work. Still one Geist hanging around, but there we go. 2 hits for 2 damage from the Ninja. Here's the Harm spell, though, and that will finish the job from my Paladin. And so you can see 300 experience almost, and 600 something gold. That's a really nice way to grind here in these spots. So I'm going to move some things around, play with my armor a little bit. Generally, once you pick up the Mystic Key, you kind of have a explosion of new equipment. So new armor, new weapons, and you'll finally start to fill up your inventory with armor, which is a little bit sad because you end up having to drop a lot of things that you would normally like to sell, but you need that armor, or you want the armor on until you pick up your upgrades. But then instead of being able to sell them, you have to just drop them in order to do it. This one, we will notice here in a minute, does have the nice feature of telling you what the item is in a chest before it tells you can't carry anymore. So it tells you something like, don't have enough room to carry this item. I think we'll see that here in the Dwarf Cave, which is an improvement over the vanilla version. The vanilla version just says can't carry anymore. So you know in a chest that there's a piece of armor in there, but you don't know what it is. And there is I believe it's in the Sky Shrine or the Air Shrine, there is a cloth armor up there. And one of those chests just says can't carry anymore, and you are very likely to drop something valuable so that you can pick up this piece of armor and then find that it is just a cloth armor. And I think that's in the Sky Palace. I can't remember the name of it right there. The stats on this Mage Knife are insane. 18 damage, but suddenly 76 hits. So this Black Wizard now is going to get 3 hits for 18 to 36. And then we'll also see in the next video that weapon has a type, but I'm not actually sure what it is because it hits into weaknesses of some enemies. But again, without access to a comprehensive list, I don't know what type it has. It's actually pretty curious and a pretty big surprise. So I'm trying things out. The Iron Ring is not equipable by my Black Mage, so we're just going to jump it. We're just going to get rid of it. Mithril, that's the chain type armor, so Mithril Mail, I guess you would call that. Yeah, you would say that's Mithril Mail, and that is equipable by my my Paladin. And I'm not actually checking, but I could check, and you should check when you're playing this game, what your dodge percent is or your evade percent, because when you put on heavy armor, they have different evade percent penalties. And evade percent can be really important when you're fighting things like cockatrices and other kind of single-hit, insta-kill type enemies like in the Ice Cave. So there are times when you'll want to take off some of your heavy armor because you don't mind taking a little bit of extra damage, but you don't want the hits to land on you from enemies like the cockatrice. Cockatrice or cockatrice. So we're going to sell off a few things. I'm going to get rid of my old Iron Hammer. That was an Elfland pickup. And the Legend Sword was a find in there, so that's one we're going to keep. We're going to get rid of the Iron Staff because we don't need that small damage and the small hit percent. We're going to get a little bit of money from some of the armor we picked up. So this is the old Iron Gauntlet we're getting rid of. And this is just an inventory management that always needs to happen once you pick up the Mystic Key in this game. It just always has to happen. And you're always going to lose some money on the deal. But generally, of course, you come out on top. So I almost forgot to go to Coneria Castle to pick up the chests in there. They are up here in the corner. And the sages have a check to see if you have the key because they tell you something different if you have the key in there. So use that key inside. What you'll find will be quite helpful. This is normally where you find the TNT. So there's a Mithril Gauntlet, there's a Mithril Helmet, and here it says, carrying too much, can't take the Mithril Shield. So that's a very, very helpful thing that's not in the original game. It does not tell you, hey, we don't have room for this item, so I'm just going to drop the gauntlet. I could have dropped a cap that I wasn't using, but 100 or so gold is not really all that important at this part of the game. So I don't mind dropping a few things that are not going to sell for a whole lot of money. I'll need more money later anyway, and I'll need to be grinding on this one. So generally, this is not going to be too poor of a run for me. And there's a house. So, TNT was not in here. I picked up the TNT in the Temple of Fiends in the secret area back there. But I have some guesses about what's going on there that I'll share in the next video when we're in the Marsh Cave. As we'll see when we get to that one, to put out a little bit of a spoiler for what happens in that area. So now we're heading to the Temple of Fiends, and the Temple of Fiends has 2 rooms that are off to the east side, or to the right of the front entrance. In the vanilla version of the game, they are guarded by gargoyles, and the gargoyle fights are not too hard or too crazy. In this particular run, I did not, and I kind of very sillily did not go to the inn to fully recover all of my charges. And so we're going to fight some battles there, but they're not going to go quite as smoothly as they should go, as we'll see. So there's normally 1 chest right here, and there is a gargoyle trapped battle right there, but in this case it is 3 giants and an iguana. I have yet to really run into an inescapable battle, even on the trapped squares, I believe. So I'm just going to do my standard try to get away from this fight. And in this round, I do not get away. I'm going to attempt 1 more round of running, but just in case, I'm going to throw out that big bio spell. That's supposed to be between 50 and 200. And so here we are, that's in the range of where it needs to be, so they weren't weak to that. They weren't taking extra hits from it, but certainly not doing anything super, super big on the damage. Would have liked to see a little bit better there. And so now I've seen that we cannot run from this fight, and we are in big trouble because I don't have any more big charges. I am out of big charges, so I'm trying my best to survive. Down goes my paladin without being able to heal, and we have 2 giants here on the field. This is going to be a tight fight to get through. But this could be good practice for me later on in trying to react to new situations, in coming in here a little bit underpowered and not ready for an inescapable battle with an enemy group this big. And there's a slash from the ninja. Takes that giant out, and we're going to see if we can get this last giant to fall with our arrow spell. Arrow is 25 to 100, so it's a little bit more powerful than ice, just a little bit stronger than the ice spell. And having Cal down kind of lets the other characters get a little bit closer on experience. Dan has been behind on experience, so now Cal will fall a little bit behind experience. So there's a dark sword, so it's a fell sword that I can't use anyway, but that'll be for selling, so that'll be some cash for me. And we're going to get out of the eagle fight. And so my choices are this: as I was recording, I could go back to Carnaria and revive my warrior and fully heal everybody, or I could just go YOLO it and see if I can just go up there and show you what's in the upper chest up there. You can see I went with just, well, let's just see what's up there. So it's 2 chests that are up there, and I'll tell you already, we've got a soft in one of them, and then the other one is guarded by the 3 giants and an iguana, and I do not survive that battle. So this video will end with all 4 of my characters face down on the floor. The next video will pick up after I have go ahead and clear this one out, and it is the light sword that is in that last chest. So we got there was a dark sword down there, and then a light sword in the next chest that my paladin can indeed use. So I was expecting 2 battles there, but we we're just going to get 1. So this chest that I lose the battle from is a light sword, and that is where we will pick up when we get together next time. Next time I'm going to go to the Marsh Cave. There are some Mystic Key locked doors in the Marsh Cave that generally in the vanilla version of this game, they are not worth going back to and exploring because they have mundane equipment in them or mundane stuff that you can just buy later on in the game. And it's not worth risking yourself going back in and burning all of the pure potions that you'll need to burn to get through a run of the Marsh Cave right there. But this one, we will go through it before we go on to the Melmond area. As my characters are going to hit the floor here, I'll just let you know, if you have any questions about this one, please hit me up in the comments. I will do my best to try to answer them. If you have any tips about where I can find some other resources for this hack, do let me know. It's a very, very fun hack or patch of this game that I played so far, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of it. I'm on Twitter at active_ATE if you want to say hi to me there. I always appreciate comments on the videos that I do here, and I always hope to have these be informative and instructional for you. That's my biggest goal, is when someone says, I learned something from this, or this made me decide whether or not to play a game. That is the highest compliment that you can pay me. So as Ace Party is dying, I will leave you there until next time.